Hello everyone. Today we are going to start our session of cell biology, and this would be an introductory lecture to what is a cell. So in this session we will be dealing with the basic definition of cell. We would be dealing with what are the theories that were given with regards to the uh, how the cell came into picture, and we are also going to see how the diversity is in the cell is same, what basic function a cell does. Okay, so this is all that would be seeing in this session of today's. So we'll begin with what is a cell. So as you have studied in your previous classes of 11th and 12th standard, that a cell is smallest unit of life. It is a tiny unit that you can see. It is a fundamental or a basic unit of life. So in various ways the cell can be defined. So we'll see so when you talk about the cell, it is smallest unit of a living thing, or you can also call it as a building block of all organisms. So all the individuals who are living are made up of cells. So all the living organism can be either made up of a single cell or can be made up of many cells. So if the individual is made up of a single cell, it is known as a unicellular organism, and if the individual is made up of many cells, it would be termed as a multicellular organism. Apart from being called as unicellular or multicellular, they can be also cell can be also categorized into two, that is prokaryotic cell and a eukaryotic cell. So when you talk about a prokaryotic cell, it is a primitive type of cells or not so advanced type of cell. The example of this is a bacteria. So in bacteria we can see that the nucleus, a distinct nucleus cannot be seen. Okay, so whatever the genetic material is there, it is freely floating in the cytoplasm. Apart from that, it does not has membrane bound cell organelles. While if you talk about a eukaryotic cell, it is more developed or an advanced type of cell. And when you see a eukaryotic cell, it has got a distinct nucleus, many membrane bound cell organelles like mitochondria, chloroplast, lysosome. Okay, so these are the organelles that are seen in a eukaryotic cell. Now when you talk about a cell, each cell, according to its origin or location, becomes highly specific in its function. So suppose now we say a brain cell, so which you call it as a neuron. So neuron would be specialized to carry out impulse. So it will carry out impulse from the brain towards the site or from the site towards the brain. So according to their location, according to their what you can say specialization, they carry out a specific function, and according to the function they also have or each cell would be having a specific size, a distinct shape. Okay, so this imparts a specialization to the cell. Then the next thing that we are going to talk is about the discovery of the cell. So different scientists started studying, they all wanted to know how cell looked like or how it came into existence. So when you talk about the discovery of the cell, there was a British scientist known as Robert Hooke. In 1960-65, he termed the cell as a tiny unit of life, and he was one of the earliest scientists to see the living thing under the microscope. Now, in the times of Robert Hooke, the microscope that he used did not have good magnification power, but he was able to make certain good assumptions or observations regarding how a cell looked like or what it should be. Okay, what Robert Hooke did was that he took a thin slice of a cork. Now cork is a part of a stem. It is a hard woody part whose section was being taken and was observed under the microscope. When Robert Hooke observed this cork under the microscope, he could see it as a tiny unit or small chambers. Okay, and he named them as cell. So here we can see how a cell look like. So if you see the diagram, there are small chambers, okay, and that together makes up your organ or the tissue level. Okay, so the level goes on increasing. Then later on there was another scientist known as Anton van Leeuwenhoek in Holland, and he made another important discoveries using a sophisticated microscope. Here the Anton Leeuwenhoek, the microscope that he used was more advanced or more sophisticated as that was used by Robert Hooke. Now, when Leeuwenhoek observed cell under the microscope, he could see motile objects, okay, and he connected the motility to the characteristic of living thing. So as we know, animal has a very profound characteristic or very special character that they are motile. So he said that this motile objects, the motility imparts the quality of life, and he named these motile objects as animalcules. And these animalcules not only included, they included bacteria, they included other unicellular organisms, protozoans, etc. He not only observed this single unicellular organisms, but he could also see human cells and various bacteria under the microscope. Then, now since the structure or scientists started discovering that there is something known as cell, or the organism arises from a cell, be it a unicellular organism or be it a multicellular organism. So they started thinking like how the first cell would have come into picture. So describing this, the existence of cell, many theories were being given. So there is a theory, spontaneous generation theory, there is endosymbiont theory. So spontaneous theory states that suddenly a cell came into picture, or endosymbiotic theory states that there was engulfment and then there was more, like the organism went on modifying and then the cell came into picture. Now, while some scientists were arguing over the theory of spontaneous generation, okay, there were many other scientists like Sheldon, okay, Virchow, okay. These scientists were making discoveries leading to a better understanding of what we call now as a cell theory. So, this scientist gave good statements which were more relevant as compared to your spontaneous theory or other such theories, okay. So this cell theory describes the basic properties of all the cells. Now there were three scientists named as Matthias Sheldon, Theodor Schwann and Rodolph Virchow who gave this cell theory. Now what cell theory states that it is a scientific theory, and it states that all living organisms are made up of cells as a smallest functional unit. So this is how the definition of cell also came into the picture. Then we are going to see what were the statements that were given by each of the scientists. So when you talk about the statements that were given by each of the scientists, so all organisms are made up of one or more cell. So cell theory states that all organisms are made up of one or more cells. So as we have seen this, it could be either a unicellular organism or a multicellular organism. Then all of the life functions of organism occur within the cell. So whatever function the cell is doing, now you're like I'm teaching to you or talking to you. So now you're my many cells would come into picture, like my eye cells are into picture, my brain cells are thinking something, neurons are responding, so all are coordinating with each other and carrying out their function, and each cell is capable of doing the function, okay. All cells come from already existing cells. So now when you talk about the theory of biogenesis, so theory of biogenesis was also one of the theory that was correlated with the how cell came into existence. So biogenesis theory stated that one living organism can give rise to another living organism. So a pre-existing cell can give rise to a new cell. So that is what stated in your theory of biogenesis or cell theory. Then later on, there were many assumptions or modernization, or what you can say improvisations were made into this cell theory. So then the theory was termed to be as modern cell theory. So what it includes that we are going to see. So we have seen this previously, that all known living things are made up of one or more cell. Then next they stated that all living cells arise from pre-existing cells by division. So the division could be of mitotic type or meiotic type. So if it is a germ cell, it would be by meiosis. If it is a somatic cell that has been formed, it would be by the process of mitosis. If it is a bacterial cell, there are other ways of division that we'll be seeing in detail in our later classes. The cell, next statement, the cell is a fundamental unit of structure and function in all living organisms. So we know the hierarchy that many cells come together, they form a tissue. Many tissue systems, tissue comes together, they form a system or an organ, basically the organ, and many organs come together forming a system. System forms the individual. So likewise, it is a fundamental or a basic unit from where actually the life starts. Then the next statement that was given is the activity of an organism depend on the total activity of an individual cell or an independent cell. So now, as I gave you the example that I am teaching you now, so my different cells are working together or they're coordinating with each other, and the input is been given to the brain and the output is delivered to you. So my eye cells are reading it, okay, my neuron cells are processing it, okay, my muscle cells are into picture since I am speaking. So each cell is functioning, showing their activity, and together they will lead to the response that is given by the organism. Then the next is energy flow occurs within the cell. So here energy flow, now each cell is capable of carrying out certain metabolism. So metabolism can be divided into anabolic processes and catabolic processes. So if a cell has to carry out a specific activity, it is going to require energy, okay. So that energy could be, so energy has to be first synthesized and it could be used by the cell to carry out the function, be it moving somewhere, the motility is to be shown, or it has to carry out different functions, synthesizing its own proteins or carrying out its DNA replication. So all these basic functions that a cell has to carry out would be requiring energy. So there is a flow of energy in the cell. Cell contain DNA which is found specifically in the chromosome, and RNA found in the cell nucleus and cytoplasm. So cell contains DNA. So we know that DNA is a genetic material, okay. It is coding everything that a cell has to do, okay. Every information is stored in the DNA of the cell, okay, and that DNA is compactly packed in the form of a chromosome, okay, which is again present in your nucleus, okay, and the RNA is present in the nucleus. After processing, it has been sent into the cytoplasm. Now the processes differ somewhat in eukaryote and the prokaryotic organism, which we will be studying in your further lectures, okay. Next statement, all the cells are basically the same in chemical composition in organisms of similar species. So as we know that the basic biomolecules that are there in the cell are made up of same basic chemical composition. So there would be lipids, there would be proteins, there would be carbohydrates. So different carbohydrate, different proteins, different form of lipid come together and forms the structure or gives the basic fundamental property to the cell. Then next thing that we are going to talk about the cellular diversity. So as you will observe different types of cells, be it a bacterial cell or be it a eukaryotic cell. Now eukaryotic cell also, if we'll talk about the mammalian cell, there are so many cells in our body. Same if we'll talk about plant cell, there are various type of plant cells that can be seen. So here I am giving you the example of adult human, okay. So adult human has nearly 100 trillion cells, and in that 100 trillion cells are having 200 different types of cells, okay. So you can imagine the diversity that is present in a human body itself. So now next, the cells come in a variety of shape and size, yes. So if you talk about a neuron, it is extended. It looks different from your epithelial cell. Epithelial cell is more broader. It has got microvilli since it has to carry out absorption. Okay, muscle cells look more different. They are more striated. Okay, if you talk about your RBC, they are biconcave in shape. So each cell looks different from each other. Okay, not only in humans, but if you talk about even plants, there are different cells like parenchyma. okay, sclerenchyma, okay. So this each of the cell looks different. Parenchyma is more oval or elongated in shape. If we talk about sclerenchyma, it is more hexagon, having more of lignin deposition. So diversity can be seen in the cells. Now, not only the shape varies, but size also varies to a greater extent. Okay, so when you talk about the size, okay, here we can see with the help of an example that intestinal cells are something 30 to 40 micron meter. When you talk about a neuron, okay, if you extend a neuron completely, it would be around 3 meters. If you talk about a human sperm, it is 70 micron meter. If you talk about the shape of a RBC, it is something from 20 to 30 nanometers. Okay, alveolar cells, if you talk, then they are 130 micron meter. If you talk about a bacteria cell, okay, it is from 1 micrometer to 10 micrometer. So that, so much of diversity can be. If you talk about a virus, okay, so it would like 100 nanometers. So in the diversity can be seen in various aspects, in the size, in the shape, and even in the function. Then we are going to see what function the cells do. Here we are going to discuss a very superficial or very basic functions. Later we will be studying detailed functions about each organelle and each cell in our further sessions. So first, what a cell does is, first function that we are going to see is it synthesizes protein. So yes, if a cell has to function, if a cell has to carry out any activity, be the replication process, be it anything that it has to do, it has to synthesize proteins. Okay. Next is a cell makes more copy of itself. So cell undergoes division. Okay. And two daughter cells are being formed, which are almost similar to what of the parent cell. So the process could be of meiosis as a, or it can be of mitosis in the form of gametes. Okay. Third, cell requires and synthesizes energy. So all these functions we have discussed in cell theory also, or modern cell theory also. So a cell would be requiring energy to carry out its function, be it making more copies of itself, or be it making proteins. Okay. So cell, when it has to synthesize energy, it would be in the form of energy rich molecules, which could be ATP, GTP, TTP, NADH. Okay, so these are energy rich molecules that are synthesized by the cells and they are utilized to carry out its variety of functions. Then next thing that we are going to discuss is the type of cells. So basically the cells can be divided into prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells. So prokaryotic cell, as I have already told you, that it is a primitive type of cell, and when you talk about eukaryotic cell, it is more advanced type of cell. So distinguishing features will be seen. Okay, so like the main function, basic distinguish can be prokaryotic cell does not has a distinct nucleus. It has the genome in the form of nucleoid. Or if you talk about the ribosome, there are 70S type of ribosome. It does not has histone proteins. So, and if you talk about eukaryotic cells, it has got membrane bound cell organelles. It has got a distinct nucleus. It has got ribosome which are of ATS type. So there are many distinguishing points which would be seen. Then when you talk about eukaryotic cells, they are broadly categorized into two, which you call it as a plant cell and animal cell. So when you talk about a plant cell, it has got a cell wall, it has got chloroplast, it has got vacuole, and many other distinguishing functions as compared to the animal cell. So this all things would be discussed in our coming sessions. Okay. Thanking you all. Have a good day.